In this episode, woo, Nami, take it off! No, dude, take it off, it's on fire, you might burn to death. Quick, quick. It's a safety hazard.
Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the crew. We think we're pretty funny, and we hope that you will too. This is the opening song to season 2. It's where the journey really starts because we've made it out of East Blue. We've got our snacks and we've got our friends. Now it's time to discuss the anime that never ends. Yeah! Start the show!
Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to episode 32 of King of the What Now, a One Piece discussion podcast. I'm Joel, the host and longtime fan. Also, I've been suited in super awesome mecha wax armor. I don't know why I said it like that. Just imagine like the pose that goes along with the whatever they're called.
Hey, I've been waiting on the ship. Where is everybody? I'm Curtis, by the way.
And I'm Kat, a T-Rex, not a lizard. I refuse to let you misrepresent my people, Sanji.
Alright, and we just got finished with watching 4 episodes of the anime, which is our usual pattern. Episodes 74, 75, 76, and 77. If you're watching at home, that was shortly after Mr. 3 made his presence known in Little Garden, and goes all the way up to when they leave Little Garden.
So it went from when Mr. 3 made his presence known to when Mr. 3 had his presence ended.
Did they kill him? Is that what you're trying to tell our listeners?
What else did they do with all these people? Are they just left them on the island, I guess?
I mean, maybe.
That's a good
point. The dinosaurs ate them.
So it's sort of like Batman and Batman Begins. I am not going to kill you, but I also don't have to save you. Except Sanji and Luffy and Straw Hat Crew.
Isn't that like a trolley problem?
Yeah, it really is. Okay, and so I gave the very broad stroke. There was a battle and they left the island. But Curtis, could you be kind enough to fill in some of the gaps?
Yes, there was fighting in between.
Wow, you don't say. Who were they
incredible.
Fighting? Okay, I gotta remember exactly where... Okay, so Mr... That's right, I remember where we started now. Okay, so we've got one giant down for the count. Supposedly dead. Another giant down and is now encapsulated, well, not fully encapsulated, but like, bound to the ground with wax. And then eventually we got 3 more people who show up. I'm just going to kind of skip ahead to this part. We've got Luffy, Nami, Vivi, and Zoro, who have all been captured.
Yes.
Right? So they are all in this field, along with Mr. 3, Miss Golden Week, and I believe...
Yeah, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. They bring Vivi. They'd already captured Zoro and Nami in the previous episodes.
So, at this point, Mr. 3 builds a giant cake, on the top of which is a jack-o'-lantern with candles on it that spins, and it's all made out of wax, because I think we talked about in the last episode, he can make wax.
Yes.
Apparently his body is basically wax.
To be clear, he is not the same devil fruit type as Smoker. I thought they were going to cover that, but they didn't. He cannot turn his body into wax, but he can produce it, and when he's producing it, it really does look like his arm is wax, but he can't turn into a malleable substance in order to avoid getting punched.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Apparently, so he builds this whole elaborate thing.
The only sensible thing to do, really.
Yes. Now what happens is he puts the 3 captured people on one of the tiers of the cake and traps their feet in the cake, right?
Yep.
The top part is spinning, and little wax bits start falling everywhere. And slowly, it will encapsulate them and the giant in wax, turning them into wax statues.
Naturally.
Yeah.
We also figure out that Zoro can't really use his swords at the angle that he's at, and also, as was established in the last podcast episode, the wax is pretty hard. He can't just chop through it like you would expect from a master swordsman.
Yep. So his initial approach is, I'm going to chop off my legs and then go fight them.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask, do you think given Zoro and what we know about him and his propensity towards blood loss, do you think if he had successfully cut all the way through his legs that he would have carried on fighting? Or do you think that they would have leaned a little more in the realistic direction and just been like, nope, he's done. He cut his legs off.
I think it would be safe to say that his power would be slightly diminished by the loss of mobility.
Just a little.
But I don't think that he would be out for the count immediately. Probably long enough to take out one or maybe two of the Brokeworks agents. But honestly, in that state, how was he going to free them? What was he going to do?
He's gonna fight on Stubbs.
I mean...
Fight on Stubbs.
You know, actually, if he got his legs removed and then replaced them with peg legs, but the pegs were actually swords, he could be the master of the 5-sword style.
Oh my God.
He could be the cartwheeling starfish swordsman.
So cool, though. Fanfic Friday.
Absolutely. One thing I do want to point out, though, as well, is at first he's like, I'm going to cut off my legs, and Vivi and Nami are very much like, you're crazy, as would be the only logical thing for real people in the real world to do. But in anime logic, Vivi realizes, wait, no, he still hasn't given up, so I'm willing to fight too, and she goes, Mr. Bushido, which is what she calls him in the Japanese, and it's so cute that I'm gonna use that. But cut off my legs too, I want to fight as well. And Nami's just like, are you crazy?
The answer to that is yes.
Crazy like a fox with a plan to beat the Brokeworks people.
A plan that probably would not work.
Okay. But now I think we can skip ahead a little bit. We get Luffy.
We have to talk about what happened to Luffy on the side.
I mean, he got captured and then he got freed and now he's here. He was trapped under a mountain in the last podcast episode, and basically, I think Usopp maybe explodes the rock. It doesn't show it explicitly, but Usopp and Karoo free him, and those three show up, and they're the rescue team, basically. Yes. Sanji is nowhere to be found.
Nope, we don't see him until the
third episode,
I think. No, you're right.
We get a hint of him in the, second to last, but he's not here. He's not part of the fight for whatever reason.
So they show up, and what exactly happens from there? There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of fighting.
What does happen from there? I didn't watch these episodes,
I have bits and pieces, and I don't remember what order
To be fair, making sure that you get all the details in the right order and such is important. Okay, we got Mr. Bomb Guy, who it turns out can eat Usopp's exploding star, is what he calls it. So Usopp's most powerful attack doesn't work. The wax guy is very good at making giant walls, and so if he tries to do any kind of fire projectiles, those also get blocked. He's capable of wrapping his wax around Luffy to limit mobility and that sort of thing. There's a hilarious miscommunication where when he first shows up, Nami basically says, break the pillar, and she says nothing more. So Luffy, after he gets the wax around his feet, swings himself around like a hammer and breaks the pillar, but doesn't actually free them. And they go, what are you doing? He goes, well, you told me to break the pillar. That's what I did. And it's just like, God dang it. Miss Valentine can still float and crush people. She's basically an ancillary character, really. I don't think that she does much direct fighting in these episodes. And then we find out Miss Golden Week's power. Mm-hmm. Not a devil fruit, but can you explain a little bit about how it works?
Yeah, so she takes different color paints and makes a very specific design, and it appears to affect your emotions in that
and memories and stuff, because Luffy every time he snaps out of is like, what?
I don't think that. I think that's just Luffy.
Oh, you think that? You think he's an idiot? Perfect.
So initially she draws a black circle on the ground and he steps on it, and and he suddenly loses the will to save his friends, and then he steps off of it through trickery. And then she draws a yellow circle on his back, which makes him start laughing. Mm-hmm. And then that gets smudged.
While Luffy is basically fighting the Candleman, Mr. 3, and Miss Golden Week, and she keeps interfering with his ability to try to break the pillar. I actually don't know where Mr. 3 is at this point, because he's not chasing Usopp, who ran away and is being chased by the other two Baroques guys. He's not there fighting directly.
So Luffy punched him off of the battlefield.
Okay.
And it takes a while for him to come back. He comes back once they get past
Miss Golden Week's powers. Okay.
Which is basically she just keeps manipulating him and finally puts him into a tranquility position where he's just sitting, sipping tea.
Yes.
Tranquil.
Would you say he was drinking tranquility?
Uh,
I do have one thing to say about Miss Goldenweek's powers, and this bothered me the first time that I saw this episode, but also it bothers me now. They say that her power is that she has such a strong understanding of color theory that she can use colors in just the right way to evoke emotions in people who see them. Fine. Whatever. Luffy can't see what's on his back. Why did the yellow circle work on him?
I think once you truly understand color, you get to you get to the point where it's not only affects sight, but it just affects all of existence.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know how I feel about
it
that?
affects his chi.
Do you want to know how I feel about
Please
that?
don't make a farting sound on the podcast.
What if I make it far away from the mic?
What if you just said, I give it 2 thumbs down?
I give it 2 hard farts.
Okay.
Hard farts. You know what? I'm not even... See a doctor, please. My darling wife.
A hard fart is what we call.
No.
Anyway.
Okay. So, you know what it is. Okay, so what she's actually doing, she's taking her life energy, her chi, and she's mixing it with her energy, her promise to herself, her nen. She's putting those two together into her paint color, which is infused now with her spiritual energy, and that paint now exists in the 3 planes, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. So that when she paints it on the back of Luffy, that infused energy goes inside of him, and it interacts with the midichlorians in his bloodstream, which also sends out a signal, obviously, to the
Voldemort.
Enterprise. Wow, Voldemort? He gets a signal now? The last time I tried to call him.
Anytime you say his name.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Now, anyways, I agree. I think there's holes in it. I think there's holes in a lot of different anime logic if you think about it. I do agree that it should affect people. What bothers me, again, with me giving small spoilers, I thought for sure the color theory thing was going to come back. We meet people who have devil fruits and Luffy beats them, but then we meet later versions that have stronger devil fruits that require more thinking. It's like, oh, we can apply what we learned in the last battle. Where is the stronger version of that power? Where's someone who has even more colors under their belt, who's even better at manipulating them? I would love that as an enemy.
Yeah, I want them to go to Paintbrush Island, and I want them to have a whole adventure with an island full of people who can do this color stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if you have an island full of tetrachromats who can see shades of colors that no one else can, and so they can fine-tune it, and you would never be able to tell what the difference is, but they can tell.
And yeah, I like that. That's good.
Okay, so that discusses Miss Goldenweek. They have to use various means of trickery to best her color. Usopp is running from Mr. Explodey Guy, Mr. 5, and Miss Kilo Fruit User Valentine's Day. He comes back and he finds, oh no, everyone's covered in wax, because they were slowly getting covered, and their insides were getting covered. Also, one of my favorite Zoro moments, not important to the summary, but he decides to strike a cool pose, because if he's gonna get frozen, it might as well be in a cool pose. And throughout the rest of the episode, he keeps berating the women for not taking cool poses.
You should have posed when you had the chance. Best Zoro moment.
I bet you wish you had made a pose.
See, there are so many good Zoro moments, and we will circle back to that. For purposes of the summary, Usopp's now back here, and he's in charge of saving the people. Do you remember kind of what the strategy there was, the combo attack?
Yeah. So what ends up happening is he snaps Luffy out first by burning off his coat or his vest.
His shirt, vest, yeah, whatever.
He must have another one.
Yeah,
He has a shirt on at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm sorry. This is.
Do you think he only has the one outfit on the ship?
No, he follows the rules of cartoons where he has several outfits. They're all the same outfit.
But that's the thing is like Nami changes their shirts in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else wears the same freaking clothes. Do they just have like 7 copies? One for each day of the week?
They get better at that later in the series and also in the movies, but yes, it's implied that they have a wardrobe, but they only ever wear the same thing for whatever reason.
Okay, now that we're done talking about fashion.
And sexy shirtless Luffy. All I'm saying is that we get plenty of opportunities to see women in revealing outfits. Alvida's a core offender of this. We'll get into something with Nami a little later here. I'm just saying equal representation. We have a guy who is shirtless and, just rock it, Luffy.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, fun fact for our listeners, when we turned on this disc, the loading screen for the menu is Miss All Sunday in her weird sexy cowgirl outfit, and Joel went, "Why did they do that to her? I hate it."
It's certainly the I'm a bad guy and that means that I'm more comfortable revealing my body trope, but why do we need that trope?
Yeah.
I know why we need that trope.
Well, we see her again later, and she's not dressed in it. So, I mean, she clearly has more than one outfit.
Yes.
And not all of them are that.
Maybe her thing is that she's just a little extra, right? Mm-hmm. So when she was like, "I'm going to make my first appearance to this crew, I need them to be like, wow, look at her." She went with the classic no clothes technique.
So can you be extra and wear fewer clothes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, extra is more of a state of mind than it is how you dress, and there's many different ways that you can be extra.
All right. So yeah, Luffy, no shirt now. So the last mark for the Tranquility was written on his shirt. So he's no longer under her influence.
Miss Golden Week.
Thank you. At this point, I don't remember what happens to her, but she doesn't do anything anymore. I remember what happens.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. 3 comes back, and he has built for himself a mech suit made out of wax that encapsulates his body.
Uh-huh.
He has Miss Golden Week. I keep wanting to call her All Sunday.
Oh.
Miss Golden Week paint it for him. And so now it's painted. I don't understand the point of it other than it's pretty because it didn't seem like it actually did anything. I thought it was going to give him boosts in that.
That's true. Yeah, because the color only manipulates your emotion, so that's a good point. I've always assumed it was boost, but we don't see the effect of it.
Yeah.
So Gundam painting is a pretty popular pastime in Japan as
So it's a
far as I
reference to
can
that, you
tell.
think?
So I think it's a reference, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so they indulge in some hobby in the middle of this battle. With people dying encapsulated in wax.
I will say she can paint anything instantly, so it probably wasn't Luffy didn't give her time. She probably just did one flick of her paintbrush and it was immediately colored.
Okay, that's fair. So now, she goes off to the sideline, just gonna do her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy and What's-His-Face are now duking it out. And meanwhile, Usopp is trying to come up with a plan to save the people who are encapsulated in wax. He goes to implement it, and Mr.
5?
5, yeah, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine.
You can call them by their powers. Booger Nose, or Explodey Bomb, and Kilo Lady.
I like how, Booger Nose and Explodey Bomb, you were trying to say Exploding Boogers or Bomb Nose, but
Yeah.
you didn't get the words lined up either try.
I'm stupid.
Okay.
I don't know how we haven't addressed that issue yet.
Their names now are Snot Rocket and Key Lime.
Okay.
Okay.
Lemons. Go ahead.
Whatever.
Are you trying to make a pie out of that woman?
That's weird, Curtis.
Guys?
Look, we all have...
cannibal.
Oh dear. Oh my.
Why
I was
do you
gonna
think I'm
say...
doing this podcast?
People talk about how they get that one celebrity, if they ever had a chance to romance that particular celebrity, their partner would be okay with that,
No.
That's a thing that some people talk about. I think that we should all have that one person that we want to turn into a pie. That one anime character, to be specific, that we would want to turn into a pie.
I don't want to waste it on Key Lime.
Wait, I want to ask you, Curtis. Who do you think that we've seen so far is the most pieable character?
Give me a second.
I'm gonna call dibs on the duck right now.
So you're talking about actual pie. This isn't like a metaphor of some sort.
Does it matter if it's savory or sweet?
No, just you see them and you think, man, they would be a delicious pie. My pie is savory because it's got a duck in it.
I'm gonna... Well, you know what? At that point, if it's limited to people we've seen so far, yeah, Key Lime.
There you go.
Even though it's a lemon, so I guess lemon meringue.
She'd be tasty, covered in meringue regardless.
Okay. So yes. Snot Rocket and Key Lime. Usopp is trying to save everybody and they're interfering. So what he eventually does is he gets the duck to grab a rope.
Whose name is Karoo, by the way. We shouldn't just call it the duck. Karoo the duck. Okay? There's gonna be more ducks at a later point in time. We need to specify Karoo, Vivi's duck,
Listen.
who is one of the best characters of this arc.
Listen, here's the thing. I know in my heart that his name is Karoo, but every time his name is on the tip of my tongue, I go, but what if that's wrong? So
Okay.
I just call him the duck, because there's no way I could be wrong about him being a duck.
Okay, I just want to point out that we do know the duck's name.
Can I call him Donald? I don't
No.
remember that more easily. And I've already given nicknames to Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, who I now said easily without having to pause.
What about the shameless drunkard?
That's just too true. Too
Guys,
close to the truth.
you maybe you can hear this in my voice. Maybe you can't. I am massaging my temples because let me tell you something. We're 32 episodes into this podcast, and since day one, the thing that I have most wanted from my co-host is a succinct summary of the episodes. We
we
are
at?
20-something minutes in. I don't know how long it's going to be when we edit it down, but probably something like 15 to 20 minutes. And we haven't even gotten to the battle part. May I,
No.
with your permission, take over for just a second?
I can do it as long as we don't get any more sidetracks.
All right, Catherine, can you please help us stay on track?
To be fair, you also
I am
just wanna talk about this for a
contributing.
minute.
I just don't have to confirm with myself that I am dedicated to being quiet.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. I'm going to cast a ritual that will silence us and will speed.
Babe, is this one of those black magic spells that you learned on the internet?
I mean, yeah. a
Okay,
little.
well, those sometimes have unintended effects. Go ahead, you have my blessing. Continue.
I think it'll be okay. It'll be
Okay.
okay. It'll quiet us down,
Okay.
and it'll speed up
Okay.
Curtis's summary. Juba, Juba, Fuba.
Oh no. What just happened was you expelled all of the words I had left in me. And this explanation. Because that joke wouldn't make sense if I didn't explain it. Continue, Curtis.
All right. So now my explanation is going to be much quicker than it would have been. Okay, I can't. Okay. All right. We're done with this joke now. We're going to move on. All right. The duck takes a rope. I understand his name is Karoo, but it doesn't matter. The duck takes a rope and starts running around the cake and the giant and keep running, wrapping it around, right? It's covered in kerosene by Usopp. And then Luffy takes Mr. 3, whose hair is on fire, and he lights it like a fuse, and suddenly there's a giant fireball, and the wax starts to melt. Everybody escapes. Now they fight. Zoro's on fire. He kills somebody. I don't think he actually kills them, but he defeats them. And then Mr. 3 runs off. He's out of his suit now, but everybody's safe. The giant wakes up. The other giant wakes up. It's all good. Luffy goes and hunts down Mr. 3. He finds like a bajillion Mr. 3s in the forest. And one of them is real and the rest of them are wax figures. He figures out the real one on a hunch, kicks him. And then also the duck apparently decimates the poor little girl. We don't see what happens. It's off screen.
To be clear, she is still alive. Checked it on the wiki. Continue.
Okay, yes. And by the little girl, I mean
Golden Week.
Golden Week, thank you.
Give her whatever name you want. Call her Rice Crackers.
And I'll call it Palette. Okay, we got Palette. We got Wax. Palette and Wax. Okay, so Wax has been kicked in the face. Palette has been destroyed by the duck, and now everybody's safe. Sanji's back on the ship. He's like, "Where's everybody at?" And then he's like, "I'm gonna go find them. They might be in danger." And then he comes upon this house made out of wax. Inside, snail. The snail has a phone call coming to it. Because that's what happens in One Piece. He answers it. It's Mr. Zero on the other end. And they start talking. And he's pretending to be Mr. 3 because that's who Mr. Zero thinks he is talking to. And he tells Mr. Zero that, yes, we took care of all the Straw Hats. They're dead. Don't worry. You don't have to send anybody else after them. But Mr. Zero doesn't believe him because of... No, he does believe him. But he is still going to send someone else to kill him later. And by him, I mean Mr. 3. And by Mr. 3, I mean the Straw Hat Pirates because they're the ones going to Alabasta at the end of all this. But then the Unluckies show up and try to take out Sanji. And Sanji defeats them. He takes an eternal log pose, that is destined for Alabasta from them. So he goes, meets up with everybody else. They now have everything they need to leave the island. They're all safe. And they get onto the ship. They get a bunch of meat from the hunting expeditions from earlier. Then they sail away. And the two giants are there at the end of the island. And as they're sailing away, the giants say, just go straight. It'll be okay. Then a giant fish tries to eat them. And it does eat them. But it's okay. Because the giants shoot a big giant hole with lasers through the fish. And they escape through the fish by sailing straight, and they're on their way to Alabasta.
Curtis,
And time.
can I make 2 observations?
Yes.
First, I love that in your attempts to be succinct, you spent quite a long time trying to decide on nicknames for people.
It's important. And
In
I
the
didn't use them
future,
again.
we're going to establish nicknames at the beginning of the summary. I'd hate to make it seem like we are perhaps taking notes from other podcasts or changing our format in order to rip them off, but it might be better to kind of give a summary of the new characters before the summary or after the summary.
Fair.
But it makes sense to be before. Anyways, Catherine, you had a second note?
Anyway, my second note is I like that you turn into William Shatner when you talk very, very fast. That was highly entertaining. Also, there were lots of hand movements that nobody in our audience gets to see, but they were humorous.
If you've ever seen Ida from My Hero Academia, I really do think that fits Curtis's personality quite well in certain respects. And in the hand gesture respect, yes, very much. They're basically twins. Okay. Thank you for the summary. As always, if I feel that there is maybe a detail that I would like to add, I will do so now. First off, the giant fish that almost eats them is a giant goldfish that apparently is called the Island Eater, and its poops are the size of islands, which sounds vaguely familiar, and in fact...
If someone told me a story about them landing on an island that was just a giant fish poop, I would think they were lying.
It's true. So, in case you don't know, if you're not on the up and up and we sound like we're hiding a secret grin, it's because one of the couple of stories that we saw Usopp telling Kaya back on his introductory arc was the time that he found a giant goldfish and he landed on an island and he mistook it for poop. And in fact, the giants themselves have a conversation with each other as the Strats are sailing away where that exact thing happened to them. I can't remember if we talked about it when we got to Usopp's island. I think we did, but in case you don't know, all of Usopp, not all of, but you can track a lot of Usopp's lies and they will come true in one way or the other, and I think this is the first time that you can really point to and say, aha!
Yeah, Usopp's lies are a bizarre kind of foreshadowing, but they definitely are foreshadowing.
What if Usopp
Was a witch!
Well, kind of.
I
like,
mean,
what if he was, what's that called when you can see
clairvoyant,
the future?
I think?
Yeah, what if he was clairvoyant? What if he actually could see the future and he didn't realize it and he just thought it was his imagination coming up with stories?
No, here's what happened. Usopp ate the meta fruit, and by speaking things, he makes them come into existence. He speaks things into life.
Hang on, let's look up a picture of Ichiro Oda and make sure that he doesn't have a long nose. He doesn't. That's just a joke, but that could be his own insertion into the story.
Speaking of looking up Ichiro Oda, real quick aside, we looked him up recently. He's only in his 40s. I thought he was like an 80-year-old man.
What? Really?
Really?
He's pretty young.
He was young when he started this then. Because this has been for 20-something years? Mm-hmm. He would have been in his 20s.
Yep, absolutely.
He was probably younger than I am now. What am I doing with my life?
This podcast.
I'm going to go start a manga.
Now, to be fair, I believe that Catherine has read online, and this is true, I just don't, I haven't read it myself. He's wanted to do One Piece since he was a kid, like fourth grade or something. He was told that you can just draw for a living, and he was like, I want to do that. He's been working on the story of One Piece. That's why all the pieces fit together so well, I think, is because he's been working on it so long in the back of his brain.
That's cool.
Not just working on it in the back of his brain, but like consciously knowing he was working towards it.
I wonder if that explains, too, why it gets a little bit more mature as things go on.
Okay, because
like maybe the early stuff, the initial like how they met and that was maybe stuff that he came up with when he was younger. Or
well, and there's a lot of interesting things. The story of One Piece, he estimated to only have taken 5 years, which he's obviously missed that mark by a bit. the margin by which he missed that mark is almost old enough to vote in the United States, okay? But one of the reasons that he cites for why the story is taking so much longer than he originally thought was because of the 7 Warlords of the Sea. We now have an arc now where the bad guy is one of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, and that's only one character that we've met, and it's going to take several islands before we meet him and defeat him and all this other stuff. But I think that's why at the beginning of the series, there's so much good foreshadowing that we haven't discussed, because you haven't gotten to later in the series. But I think the reason why the beginning of the series is so jam-packed with stuff that's interesting 20 years later is because I think that middle stuff wasn't originally part of his plan, so it doesn't have as much foreshadowing because it was originally supposed to be much shorter. I want to circle back really quick with 3 of us. Okay.
Real quick.
Yep.
Very, very short tangent.
Okay.
I promise you.
Okay.
Just a few more islands until they meet him and defeat him. I like to meet him and defeat him.
Okay.
It's kind of good.
Meet him and defeat him.
Yeah.
Meet him and defeat him.
But going back to the clairvoyant thing, you know, if I were watching the series from the very beginning and we got up to the Whiskey Peak arc and the Kobe Helmeppo training episodes. By the way, in the Japanese, it's literally portmanteau into Helmeppo, so if I ever call him that, it's because sometimes I read the Japanese subtitles and stuff. But anyways, if we'd gotten to that point and you said, what if Usopp was clairvoyant? First off, we hadn't seen any of his lies meaningfully come true in the same way as the goldfish.
Yeah.
But also, I would have said, no, that's crazy. What are you talking about? Devil fruits kind of seem magical, but they follow like a particular set of rules, so they don't feel like magic, even though they are. They're magic in a certain way. But now that we've gotten a woman who can manipulate people with the colors of her paint, and now that we have seen freaking giants are real, and now that we've seen a mechanized rotating jack-o'-lantern pumpkin that is created by a man who can create wax, I do think there is more magic in the series, like literal magic in the series, than I would have given credit for, and I would be on board with some kind of clairvoyance.
I think mostly just because of easel. No, palette. I can't remember what name I gave her.
Artist.
Yes.
Rhonda.
She doesn't strike me as
Mary
a
Beth.
If she's Rhonda, she's gonna have like an old soul, and like her voice needs to be like 2 octaves deeper than it looks like it should be.
All right. So to be clear, I was thinking of Ronda Rousey, who is a UFC fighter, I believe.
Oh, so I was thinking that Rhonda is like a woman who's just past middle age, works in a restaurant, and just kind of gives advice to strangers who come to sit at
Maybe
their
like a
counter.
diner specifically is what I'm seeing in my
specifically
head.
a diner.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely her that is evidence that there was more magic. Because, like, I can accept there being different races and all of that. Without...
Can you? That's so forward thinking, Curtis.
It's 2018. There can be other races now.
I mean, like giant,
like a 5K and a 10K and a half marathon. I'm sorry, you're so snarky to me all the time. I have to return the favor.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Anyway, you can accept giants, but...
Okay, so, like, I can accept having different magical races. I can accept there being one specific magic system that is devil fruit without necessarily there being any other magic in the world, right?
Sure.
But now that we have seen a non-devil fruit magic, I am 100% convinced that there are more non-devil fruit magics in this world.
Okay. I completely agree that that would be something very exciting to see. I will neither confirm nor deny, as is my policy. I will say, here's a fun little fruit you could give your own OCs, your original characters in your One Piece fanfictions, the magic fruit. I don't think that we've met anyone who has weird powers that could be explained via the magic fruit, but I think that would be kind of a quirky power. You might see it in an upcoming Fanfic Friday.
Joel.
Yes.
Are there wizards in the One Piece universe?
Have you moved on from dinosaurs?
Well, we have confirmation of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, we have dinosaurs now.
All right.
It's either wizards or robots next.
Everyone, welcome to Curse's new segment where he tries to figure out if One Piece will eventually have X later in the series. His bet to himself is that the series was going on for long enough. I'm sure it has something that relates to X.
I think One Piece is secretly a far future. It's like a sci-fi.
Okay.
The devil fruits very sophisticated genetic engineering that manipulate your genetic makeup and give you powers.
Interesting. Would that necessarily mean that if you had a child while you had a devil fruit that it would pass on to them? Or is it somehow, does it not affect the genes that you pass on?
Yeah, it must not affect the genes.
Unless we just haven't met it yet, because we haven't met very many parental figures with devil fruit. So maybe we will run into a family of people who all ate the same fruit, well, have the same powers because their grandfather was the
do devil
ancestor.
fruit users have children?
I don't know.
We haven't seen any yet. Maybe it makes them sterile, Joel.
We have no idea of knowing until Oda comes out and tells us. Okay. The another thing from the episode, wow, he went down so many rabbit holes. Going back to the summary, something else that I love, I absolutely love that you didn't touch on because it wasn't part of the necessary succinct summary. Usopp shoots the exploding star and Mr. Five just eats it. He swallows it whole. There's like a funny, he balloons out and then smoke comes out of his ears and he goes, I can eat that, no problem. Usopp has been trying to run and fight him and nothing's working and eventually he goes, all right, here it comes, my special attack, exploding star, and he shoots it, and the guy goes, are you kidding? And he eats it, and then Usopp goes, hey, you know I'm a liar, right? That wasn't actually an exploding star. And he goes, oh no! And like fire comes out, and apparently it overwhelmed him to the point that he was actually taken out. Mm-hmm. Or, no, I think Zoro officially finishes him, but...
Yeah, it slows him down.
Yeah, it slows him down for a second, and I just gotta say, most shonen I watch, Bleach, Naruto, Fairy Tail, One Piece, One Punch Man not so much, but they seriously, Digimon and Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, they name their attacks. Zatch Bell names their attacks. Usopp is the only character, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but he's the only character who has ever called out one anime attack name and used that to his advantage by tricking his opponent. He is literally calling his shot, and the guy goes, I've seen this trope before. I watch anime. No, you don't. He nodded.
I'd like to say, so that was his Tabasco star, right?
Yes.
I trained, from a small child to be able to eat spicy foods. I've kind of gone off on my training for a while now. But there was a period of time when I was in middle school. Middle school, early high school. All right?
Somewhere in there.
So I guess not a small child.
You can't really remember those days because of all the drinking, I'm sure. It's just all of a blur.
I would
To be clear, Curse is fairly straight-laced. He doesn't actually have a problem. It's just fun to kind of...
When I was in middle school, I put taco sauce on everything.
Taco sauce?
Yes.
Okay. Not Tabasco sauce.
No, I'm getting to Tabasco.
Okay.
I worked my way up there. Okay. Pizza, hot sauce on it. Cheeseburger, hot sauce on it. Everything, hot sauce on it. And then I eventually upgraded, and then I would eat so much Tabasco sauce that I'd give myself acid reflux. And I enjoyed that feeling, Joel. I enjoyed it. I would be ready for this battle. I would eat the Tabasco star, and I would say, what else do you have?
Aren't you the same guy who used to eat whole lemons at restaurants just because your parents asked you to?
And I think I only did that a couple times because it was funny.
Your brother made it sound like it was constant.
Well, that's what brothers do. They distort things.
That's all I'm getting at is, do you have a problem? Do you eat things that really aren't intended to be consumed that way?
I mean, it all started when I was even younger, and I would eat random weeds out of the backyard, so probably.
No.
They were very good. They tasted sweet.
This has been an unexpected treasure trove of an episode. My jaw, I'm not kidding, hurts from how widely I'm smiling right now. This is wonderful.
For future Joel, feel free to cut whatever segments you need out of all of this to make it into one episode.
Oh, he's cutting none of it. It's probably all going
It's probably all going to go in there. That's absolutely true.
Is this going in there? Is this part of the episode? Are we in the episode right now?
Anyway, I like that you would have trained for the Tabasco star. I do not like spicy food at all, so anytime Usopp uses that attack on someone, I'm like, oh no, I'm down.
I do gotta say, I think that I've trained for this my entire life is one of the most shonen things that you could possibly do, because that's what happens in shonen anime is a character will be like, check it out, I have the power to emit flames from my fist, I'm gonna punch you and it'll be the power of flames, and the other person goes, are you stupid? I've been swimming since I was 2, check this out, splash kick, it is the perfect counter, and you're like, are you kidding me? So you being like, I've trained for this. Yeah, welcome to One Piece. You are now a character. Congratulations. That's your weird character quirk.
Life dream fulfilled.
Okay. Catherine, we haven't heard from you in a little while, so was there anything else that we failed to mention, or any particular moment that stood out to you from these sets of episodes?
We talked about the Zoro moments, which were all good. Like,
yes.
I really like how this arc in general, but these last couple episodes specifically, kind of plays on Zoro's goofiness, because he is just as silly as Luffy, or at least he's capable of being. We don't get to see a lot of that from him. So I appreciated that. I appreciated that Usopp got to do something. I feel like having most of the crew either off somewhere doing God knows what, Sanji, or chained up in wax gives him an opportunity to shine. And I would love it if maybe the crew didn't have to be incapacitated for Usopp to get to have an awesome fight.
Yeah, and I mean, we still have, 17 years of stuff to watch. Maybe he'll grow into the role of being more supportive. But I would agree that I can't think of a fight that we've had so far where it's like, oh, if Usopp hadn't been there, bad things would have... I mean, I guess Django, he took out Django, but...
Well, this one...
That's
Usopp
true.
hadn't been there.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. This is the moment when, if Usopp hadn't been there, they would have been...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been game over.
And I like that this arc really is where Usopp dedicates himself to a path. He is going to go to Elbaf. He's going to learn from the giants and become a powerful warrior of the sea. I think that's cool. Otherwise, in this arc, there were dinosaurs. That was awesome.
Dinosaurs are pretty cool.
And giants. I would have loved to have seen a giant riding a dinosaur, but I think we're going to have to wait.
I think they were actually too big.
Yeah, but
think
what
the
if there were
dinosaurs were-
even bigger dinosaurs,
You
is
mean
what I'm
giant
saying.
dinosaurs?
Yeah, Sea King-sized dinosaurs.
I do also want to say, we haven't gotten to this yet, but I think you can imagine that this might be the case, that the Navy and the Marines, whichever translation you want to use, they're probably looking for a way to make their fighting force stronger in order to combat the pirate threat. What if a Marine happened to come to Little Garden and saw the dinosaurs and was like, I could weaponize this? I know that that's Jurassic Park 4, but I'm just saying, couldn't you imagine Marines on Velociraptors with like little horse reins on it, and Luffy sees that and his only reaction is, so cool! With the little stars in his eye.
Smoker riding a T-Rex.
Well, the more and more that I see of the Grand Line, the more and more I'm like, the Marines aren't anything. Like, you see some of the stuff out here and you're like, are you going to take on, like, an island of giants?
Here's the thing. East Blue, baby sea. Marines in the East Blue, baby Marines. We haven't seen any of the big buff grown-up Marines yet.
Yeah, it is interesting that however big the Marine Force is in the One Piece world, they don't have a presence at many of the islands. So far, that hasn't been true. Maybe as we get further in. It's interesting to consider that they're supposed to be the big threat to pirates, when, for the most part, what we see is pirates fighting pirates. And we can discuss that at a later point in time when either of them gets a bigger presence. Because right now, the big presence is Mr. Zero and his crime organization.
When are we gonna address pirate-on-pirate violence?
So I just want to make it clear. You're saying that Smoker, little baby Marine.
No.
No, you said everyone in the East Blue.
No, because
everyone.
listen.
No,
Listen.
he's in the East Blue.
No. Listen. Smoker committed himself to following Luffy. So Smoker and Luffy on level.
Smoker has begun to toddle his way towards justice.
Yeah. He's growing, Curtis, into a manly Marine.
Okay.
I also don't remember how many ranks there are in One Piece. They don't ever, look at the camera and explain the hierarchy. I think you can look it up somewhere. But Smoker's rank is not such that he's really the end-all be-all of Marines. And also, to be clear, he definitely would have captured Luffy if that mysterious dragon guy hadn't shown up when he had, and the storm hadn't happened to...
I forgot about him. Where's the mysterious dragon guy, Joel?
He's busy.
Wait another, 600 episodes, you might get a brief cameo from him in the background.
Look at me, Curtis. No spoilers or anything, but where we are in the manga, we've seen him twice in the past 4 years.
He and Shanks are like those people that when you see them, everyone loses they don't have to be doing anything. It could just be 2 minutes of the anime of Shanks slowly cutting a piece of steak and then eating it, and then he's just having a nice meal at a 5-star restaurant while violins play in the background, and people would go, "Woo, Shanks!" And you could see Dragon doing the crossword in the newspaper, and people would go, "Woo, Dragon!"
I want you guys to describe the look of all of my hopes and expectations draining from my eyes.
I can actually see the will to live, or the will to keep watching One Piece, kind of draining. The color has disappeared from your cheeks. You look a little thinner. It's not supposed to be that instantaneous. I'm a little surprised. And there's this mysterious smoke coming off of you that I can only assume is your spirit.
I think I know how to bring your spirit back.
Are we going to talk about today's sponsor?
We are! What a great segue, babe!
Thank you.
Who's our sponsor for today?
Yeah, our sponsor for today is Sparkle Juice. Sometimes Sparkle Juice. Now, we all know that witchcraft is a real thing in this world. And
Absolutely.
that the big government is just trying to put them down because they don't see a way that they can make money off of it. How do you put tariffs on spellcraft, honestly? So what Sparkle Juice has done, they haven't exactly... they haven't done anything illegal, but they maybe perhaps skirted the law a little bit in order to further their magical advancement. No scientific advancement. There's no pattern. There's no repeated thing to this. Okay? It's all guesswork. You throw some stuff in the air, hope it mixes together, and hope that it doesn't summon a demon or something.
Okay.
And what they've done is they've taken this lack of research, this very practical lack of research, and created Sparkle Juice. Effects can range. Maybe your luck will be a little bit... Maybe you'll have a little bit more luck the next day. Maybe your sister will turn into a goldfish. Maybe you'll get that promotion that you've always dreamed about. But what's important is that with Sparkle Juice, anything is possible.
No, wait, Joel, I have a question.
Okay.
You said, hope you don't summon a demon.
Yeah.
What if that's my explicit goal? Can Sparkle Juice help me?
Sparkle Juice cannot help you in that case. However, there might be some people higher up in the Sparkle company, that's just what they're called, who would be willing to hear out your ideas, and you can actually write them a letter, and you just fold it up into 7 equal sizes, yep, sorry, and then you whisper into it, sparkle, 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 poof, and then you put it underneath your pillow. You go to sleep, next morning it's going to be gone. It's just like the Tooth Fairy, and your concerns will have been heard. And if enough people make enough wishes, they will begin to try and coerce the magic, because magic is a living, breathing thing that you have to guide very carefully.
Right.
But they'll try to coerce it in the direction of all these wishes.
But, oh no, Joel.
Yes.
Every night, for the past 3 years, I've been carefully taking my diary entries and folding them into 7 equally sized pieces and whispering, sparkle, 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 poof, before slipping it under my pillow. My diary entries have been disappearing. They've been going to Sparkle Core this whole time.
My goodness, those diary journals. This could be the revolutionary change that the magic cat industry has been waiting for all these years. Fellow listeners, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, pray for magic cats.
So Joel,
Yes.
does Sparkle Juice, do they have a flavor that will help me get more One Piece world building?
Interesting. You mean something like...
Fizzy mango?
Sure, fizzy mango pop. How if you try some of the fizzy mango pop... Now listen, as I've explained, magic is inherently chaotic. There are no rules to this. This isn't a Sanderson universe. This is
Joel advertisement.
Yeah, this is a weird advertisement. But fizzy mango does hold more power in the fictional world of your imagination. That's supposed to be fictional, not fictional. In the fictional and fictional worlds, of your imagination. And I would say that the One Piece series is very much so built on imagination. So that would probably be the one to try. You could also try the Dark Cherry Pop, and that makes all of your sinister thought. No, nothing like that. This isn't black magic. It's 2018. We don't have any more of that anymore. What you can do is the Dark Cherry Pop will help with dreams, you see. So if you have some pleasant dreams about the One Piece world or ideas that you would like to see in there, maybe. Who knows? That's the thing about magic. You just have to wait. You just have to give it a little bit of time. Visit Magic Pop. What did I call it?
Sparkle Pop.
Sparklepop.com. Go to sparkle.com/sparkle/pop in order to order yours now.
When you have a wish inside your heart, just flip the lid, drink Sparkle Pop.
Okay. Were we talking about something before we were advertising? I can't remember. You were saying something else?
I don't remember.
Oh,
you asked me if I was going to lead into the ad, and then I said, okay.
The look of hope.
Oh, I had been leaving your body, yes.
Yes. Okay, I was going to say, I think I can give you some hope. Many, many episodes from now, somebody may or may not mention dragon in a context that you find agreeable.
I'll take it.
Excellent.
I think I've said this before about Shanks, how I think that we're not going to see him for a long time do anything important to the story, because that's not his role. The role is Luffy's story. I think that the end of the series will have both Dragon and Shanks. I think that they have roles to play. Unfortunately, because he put in all of that stuff in the middle, like I said, he didn't originally plan for, you get Shanks and Dragon sightings every once in a blue moon if you're lucky. Unfortunately, same with, say, like Kobe and Helmeppo. I know that they're probably not your favorite characters, but they're going to be around till the end of the series, I'm pretty sure. And they're also, like, every 2 or 3 sagas, you'll get, like, one episode where they're like, hello, we're still alive, bye! And then they get locked up for another 2 or 3 sagas.
We'll feed you guys in a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. This episode has been going on for quite a while, but there's one last question that I have to ask. And it's a favorite question of mine to ask, but I'm going to phrase it in a slightly different way. Normally I ask, did anything in this seem like foreshadowing? You and I have not always been able to spark interesting discussions based off of that, mostly due to, I think, the different ways that we consume the media, and also the fact that I keep wishing that you could read my mind and suddenly get 20 years of One Piece knowledge downloaded in your brain, and that's not how brains
I've
work.
been trying. I mean, I keep trying to plug wires in through your ear. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, see, what we need is we just need to find the right flavor of Sparkle Pop for you.
Yeah.
But, anyways, I'm going to take that question that I normally like to ask, and I'm going to swirl it around a little bit, change the formula. At the end of the arc, when they were leaving the island, and the giant goldfish comes up, and the 2 warriors begin to charge their weapons, I guess?
Yeah.
They start to glow red and blue, which, by the way, is why they're called the Red Demon and the Blue Demon. Mm-hmm. I did remember that during the last episode when you asked, or when I brought it up, but I didn't want to spoil it. Anyways, they swing their weapons, and the 2 energy beams come off of them and mix together and just blow a hole in the goldfish's
Yeah, they
head.
form like a spear, which is the ultimate weapon of
Elbaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But here's my question. What do you think that was? Because that definitely, to me, smells like heavy foreshadowing. Like, is this a technique that all giants can use? Is it specifically a 2-person weapon? Can, like, 8 people team up and make an even stronger version? Like, how would you, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? How would you explain that with what you understand about the series?
I just assumed it was a giant thing.
Okay.
Like, tied to their weapons specifically.
Okay, so you think that maybe it's a material in the axe and sword that they were using specifically?
Yeah, that and like a mixture of that and technique.
Okay.
So here's what I think would be cool.
Okay.
We already know Usopp wants to become stronger, and we know he wants to go to Elbaf.
Not only that, but there was a hilarious, God damn it. What's wrong with my brain? There was a hilarious miscommunication when Usopp was like, I want to be like him, when Nami said, do you want to be a giant? He goes, no, are you stupid? But then literally the next episode, he says, I want to be like you, and Broggy says, do you want to be a giant? And he goes, no, are you stupid?
Do people become giants?
I don't think so, but I think there's more to that than I originally thought the first time watching the series. I'm sorry, but go on.
It's okay. So what I think would be really cool to come from this is I think if Usopp eventually makes it to Elbaf, he should learn how to use the Spear of Elbaf. And maybe that's, he draws back his slingshot and he charges it up, and when he lets it go, the Spear of Elbaf goes flying. Maybe it's a combo attack that he has to use with one of his crewmates. But it would be so cool if he were able to learn this giant-only attack and make it his own.
Curse is having a brain blast.
What if... So they were on the island, because they were fighting for their god, Elbaf's approval, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if, because of the way this all ended up, they both gained Elbaf's approval, and all you need to use the Spear of Elbaf is Elbaf's approval.
Okay.
So, like, they were probably... Maybe they could already do some of the aura stuff, but now they can combine and make the Spear of Elbaf.
Oh,
By
okay.
our powers combined, we are godly.
Here's what I think. I think anyone can use these techniques if they learn how to do it. I think it's more than just swinging a sword really hard, because Zoro swings a sword pretty hard. He doesn't shoot weird energy beams. Maybe he's been holding back this entire time. But no. Maybe anyone can learn this technique and anyone can use the technique. But maybe if you don't have Elbaf's approval, you get a sternly worded letter in the mail that's like, you stop that. And so they have the approval, so they're not going to get that letter. They're safe. They're safe from all legal litigation, I think is the term. But anyways, they're safe from their god's wrath of a sternly worded letter.
Yes.
Dorry, Broggy, I saw what you did there. Knock it off.
Going back to your question, Joel, about the glowing and, like, what do you think is going on with that? They were glowing red and blue, respectively. The only time we've seen something like that in the series before now is Nami and Zoro glowing green and orange at each other as they were, like, battling their wills. And so I think if I were at this part in the series and I didn't know anything else, I would think that maybe there's some sort of, like, aura power that
Life
people
force
have.
or something? Okay.
Right, and the stronger you are, the stronger your will is, the bigger your aura is, and the more you can use it to attack or whatever.
Okay, I like that. Something that I would say from other shonen is that something that's really popular is the life force thing, which you alluded to and was kind of the direction I would take this if I had just seen these episodes. But there's also the possibility, and this would be pretty cool but also kind of cliche, they go to Elbaf and they go, oh yeah, we have a technique that giants can use, no problem. But it takes so long to master. Only giants can learn it. We live 3 times as long as humans. Humans don't normally get an Elbaf, so that's the first barrier to entry. But it takes so long to learn. But then you have Luffy potentially as the main character and the one with the strongest will. He learns it super quick, and they go, that's impossible! But maybe because he's, not a giant, maybe he can't use it as well, but he learns, like, the imperfect spear, and that helps him in some battle.
God, that sounds like such a Dragon Ball Z thing.
It is.
It's the toothpick of Elbaf.
Yeah. And then at the very end of the series, in the moment when he uses the most, it becomes the fork of the
This is a gross joke, and I apologize, but it's the flicked booger of Elbaf.
That's pretty good.
Did we already ask best girl, best boy, best character?
Who is MVP? And you can use any of the 8 episodes, not just these 4. But between the 6 Brooks arcs, because we can't forget the Unluckies who showed up. I guess you could count Mr. Zero, though we only got a couple of speaking lines from him. The Straw Hats, Vivi, Karoo, and the 2 Giants. Out of all of them...
Karoo.
Okay.
Karoo is MVP. He's the only one that consistently is doing stuff. He helps dig Luffy out. Mm-hmm. He goes with Luffy and Usopp to fight the people. Mm-hmm. He runs around while Usopp was riding on his back.
He didn't talk when they were threatening to blow him up.
Mm-hmm. He took the rope and wrapped it around the cake and saved everybody.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Karoo had a really good moment. So, Catherine, you said that we already talked about all of the Zoro moments, and that sparked something in me. I don't think Zoro wins MVP for this. But at the very end, when they caused the giant explosion, which, by the way, Sanji looking for his crew, and if there was a giant explosion, I would probably go towards that explosion. That seems like a good place to find Luffy. But he comes out of the fire and his swords are on fire. I'm curious how he didn't catch on fire, but he slashes Mr. 5 and he goes, fire katanas, huh? That's a pretty good technique, which I maintain is foreshadowing for something we haven't seen yet. But anyways, that was a cool Zoro moment as well, because, like, the music was playing, there was the fire, the look in his eyes. He has some intense looks, but it was awesome.
I'm gonna agree with Curtis that Karoo was MVP for the reasons that were already listed. But also strong contenders were Usopp, for reasons I kind of went into when I was talking about how this was a great arc for him.
Absolutely.
And Sanji. Sanji didn't do a lot, but what he did was important.
Was vital.
And him having kind of that first contact with Mr. Zero, I think is going to be important later. And I like that.
Sanji was the seeker in this episode. If it's a Quidditch team.
We're making a Harry Potter reference now.
He spent the whole time not doing anything, out of the action. But in the end, he got the one thing that got them off the island.
Did you say, oh, we're making a Harry Potter reference after you were the one who brought up He Who Must Not Be Named earlier? Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm looking your way. I haven't officially answered the question of who's MVP. I gotta say, there's a lot of great ones. None of the Baroque's Works people really impress me. Mr. 3, I said in the last episode, I kind of liked the way he was introduced, but then he kind of got worse. His fighting style and stuff did not endear him to me. He doesn't seem as clever as he makes himself out to be. I would say Nami did a lot of whining and a lot of crying, which fits her character. If I were in her situation, I'd probably be like that too, but because we can see Zoro, who's superhuman, and Luffy, who's superhuman, she's not going to make the cut for me. Vivi is a strong contender. She, again, didn't do much, but the fact that she was willing to fight for her companion, Karoo, the fact that she agreed to let her legs be cut off, even though that's a completely insane plan, but she still went along with it because she realized she had to. Also, the Giants. There was, we kind of skipped this in the summary. Dorry was the one who got felled. Broggy breaks out of the wax and almost flattens Mr. 3, and his rage allowed him to do that, and he's crying because of his friend. And when he sees Zoro continuing to say, I'm going to keep fighting even though I'm stuck, he goes, oh yeah, I could have definitely... And the way they inspired Usopp, and the way that they kept fighting and held to their manly ideals and stuff, like, okay, they get points.
So maybe Zoro is MVP after all, because he inspired Vivi and the Giant.
Zoro is also a strong contender. I was just saying he doesn't win because of the fire katana thing. That's just a thing that I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
But him willing to cut off his leg, him posing and then yelling at them for not posing, perfect. Oh, that was perfect Zoro.
It's so easy to forget in a show like this that these are teenage boys. And teenage boys, teenage girls too, but teenage boys are super dumb. Let them do dumb stuff. Like pose when they're dying.
Yeah. So, you reminded me, well, you didn't remind me so much as made me realize. So when you mentioned that Mr. 3's fighting strategy is, like, not actually all that smart, the more and more I started thinking about it, it's like, so he makes a couple comments about how, oh, the Giants, they're just big brutes, they don't use their brain. And, oh, Zoro's the same, and none of you guys are intelligent. His final tactic is to build a large mech and then just wail on Luffy. Like, he becomes the thing that he keeps criticizing everybody else for being. It's like, I just realized there's like this moment of hypocrisy where it's not an intelligence strategy, it's just brute force.
Imagine... Well, I mean, how much time do you really have to plan your next cunning strategy when your opponents are punching you in the face? That sort of thing?
I get it, but it's like...
I do. I would love a moment where he's on, like, a marine ship, he's been captured or something, or maybe he escaped. But some moment where it shows him and he's, like, head in his hands, he made me resort to brute force, and that reinforces his desire to be even smarter with his plans later.
That'd be great.
Which, sidebar, I'm almost positive is what happened with Karoo, because he was still on a pirate ship when we had that episode that showed everyone in East Blue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if in 30 episodes he shows up, he goes, by the way, I thought this one 200% of the way through. But yeah, I think that really covers just about everything. We don't want to drag the episode on too long, but... Solid arc. I love Little Garden. Do either of you have any final thoughts that you feel we haven't covered already?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
That garden would take a lot of gardening to maintain.
That is absolutely true. I have two final thoughts. Firstly, one that we talked about during the viewing, but I'm surprised with how big the giants are and with how often they probably eat and how many trees they smash during their battle. I'm surprised that island is still standing.
Yeah.
It should just be a desolate wasteland at this point.
No trees, no animals, no nothing. They
Exactly.
ate it all, they knocked it all down, they're dead.
The second thing, my last final thought, interesting, is that I wish that I had Miss Golden Week's power, just because it would be great to be able to cheer myself up if I was feeling kind of down, just color my shirt a little different color. She didn't say she couldn't use it on herself. Cheer up people around me. That sort of thing. If someone was being, like, really aggressive or mean, like the boss at work or something, or some random stranger or something, just draw the little red target that takes all of their aggression. They can't look away. You just walk off. You're having a good day. They can't ruin your mood.
That's fantastic.
That's a nice little, like, therapeutic way that you could use it instead of trying to take down people for an evil criminal organization. Official outro goes, oh no, my hands, they've been turned into doves! What has Sparkle Pop done? No! So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.